Get on, lady. Tear that foot off. Sink it in his foot. Tear it off. Make him scream. Oh, good. You're doing real good. All right, let's go. Becky! Becky! Come here, Becky. Move up, Becky. Move up, Becky. All right, Tubbs. Tubbs. Daddy, come here, Tracy, Tubbs. Don't touch him. Hurt him. Hurt him. Don't touch him. Make him scream. Ida, if you're scared to hurt him, don't come in his way. He's not scared to hurt you. He ain't scared to kill you when it comes time. Back up, Becky. So if I say rip his head off, rip his fucking foot off, what does that mean? It's very important to do it, right? You jump in on off.
Well, I just thought it'd be good for something to think about.
For sure, for sure. Let's get a thing going on here. Yeah, I like it. Hello.
Hi.
I'm just gonna get your sign here.
Hey.
Hello.
I'm not slowing down on this side, actually, I think.
So, how come you're dressed up like an elephant today?
Because I love elephants and I want to honor them by dressing up as one of them.
You make a good-looking elephant.
Oh, are the shades all right?
The shades are magnificent.
Rather than my bifocals, I thought I would be a cool elephant with shades.
And so what we're doing, we're trying to show that these animals are beaten and they're whipped and they're caged and they're chained, and it's time for the Shriners to stop using animals.
Well, you know, it amazes me that people are still using animals in circuses. You look at something like the Cirque du Soleil and how fantastic and, you know, how much money these circuses make. Why are they still using animals? Especially since, you know, it costs so much to care for animals and, you know, cart them from place to place. Why are they still using animals, do you think?
You know, part of it, I think, is that these Shriners are old, and this has been a tradition for a lot of years, and they can't seem to let go of this tradition. And so they, you know what it is, sometimes older people just can't seem to move on and sort of realize what is being done now, because for sure, like, there's so many circuses that don't use animals, and they're wonderful circuses, and people go to them. It's not like people don't go to them.
This is how the animals are treated in the that perform in the circus.
So why can't you just be nice to the elephant? Won't the elephant do the funny tricks that they'll do without you beating them?
You gotta train them with pain. You gotta let them know that you're in charge.
Well, I'm here today because, as I said, I'm a proponent of animal rights, and I've been a supporter of fighting against the circus for about 10 years now. I became vegetarian when I was 10, so I'm 20 now, so it's been a
Holy
while.
cow, fantastic.
But the main issue I find is that there's nothing that genuinely differentiates humans from animals, from other animals, I should say. People will come up with ideas saying that, you know, language differentiates us, culture or use of tools and stuff, but none of those are actually genuine, because all these changes occur in gradations, and all animals, especially elephants here, have those different, have the same qualities that we do.
I'm here because I believe that we can have entertainment without cruelty. These animals definitely didn't choose to be in this situation or in this place. They didn't have a chance to fight back or lead a normal life. And I just think it's pointless. There are a lot of things that are way more entertaining than watching animals be abused.
Oh, well, let's think of elephants. They're taken away, first of all, they're taken away from their families when they're babies, which is just horrible, because elephants live with their family group for a lifetime, so that's just devastating for them. So that in itself is, you know, as bad as it can get. But, you know, and then from there they lead a life of confinement and being chained, and then of course, because the behaviors that they're teaching them to perform in the ring are so unnatural for elephants. They're obscene. They're nothing close to what an elephant would ever do in the wild. So to get them to do that, they beat them.
I guess
them.
A lot of people probably think that it's by reward, like you give them tasty things to eat when they do the right things, but that's not really what's happening here, is it?
I think people assume it's like a dog, which is, you can't compare those two because they're not even close. Dogs are so domesticated, and dogs can have their behavior shaped through rewards, whereas a wild animal, and one that's the size of an elephant, it just can't work that way. So the way they train them is by instilling such fear in them.
I'm here because I have a feeling that a lot of people don't really realize what happens to elephants at the circus. They probably think it's all just curious, like, I don't know, teaching your dog to sit. But they probably don't realize that it's a lot different kind of things. You have to get dragged from the wild. I don't know, if you read anything about what any of the animal trainers for elephants have to do in order to do it, it's pretty horrifying. So I think that's kind of the message we should spread.
But the circus it's so obvious to me. It's hard to understand how such an archaic thing is still being taught to little children. So
it is kind of amazing, that it does seem so obvious, but I can remember when I was a little kid, and I don't know if I've ever been to a circus. I don't remember being to them, but seeing rodeos on TV and that sort of thing, and not really thinking about it. Why do you think people don't see the obvious?
It's a good question, and I think one of the main reasons I'm against circuses is because it teaches people not to think about the animals. It teaches them it's okay to pay money to go see an animal perform, and that's in the pop culture psychology. I think that's people just haven't broken away from that. That's kind of why I dislike the circus is because it teaches children that it's okay to entertain, to use animals for entertainment, to get money.
Well, I think the kids are still open to an impression. I mean, when people are driving by, I try to make eye contact with everybody, and it's the adults that have already made up their minds that are very skittish to maintain eye contact, but the children will stare and wonder, like the one I'm looking at right now.
Excellent.
And they might have a question when they come out of the circus. They might be thinking about it while they're in the circus, and maybe 2 or 3 years from now, when when they're in a place in their lives where they can make that decision for themselves, they'll make the right one.
Kids don't want to see animals suffer. But they don't think about it.
Yeah, they don't have those blinders on yet, eh?
No,
and they're a little bit more open to maybe looking at things in a new way.
Well, that's right. And when they come by and they see this demonstration of this pet elephant, this stuffed elephant, this toy elephant being beaten, then it gives them something to think about. When they go in, they're thinking now, is this what really happens to these elephants? And I think they can see that the elephants are sad.
First of all, with the public, I don't think the public is aware of what goes on in the background. The training methods, the way that these animals were taken away from their homes, the way that they're transported over long distances in horrible conditions. They don't have access to their natural food. They don't have access to their families and so on. The public basically is not aware. With the people that are involved in bringing these circuses in, it's the money that has them continue the cruelty.
So they may not be ill-meaning, they may not know what the animals go through, so I think it's important.
So you don't think that somebody attending the circus is necessarily a bad person, they just maybe haven't thought about things a little bit, or...
Right, exactly. Maybe they were given the opportunity to learn about what the animals go through, the treatment that the animals get. If your parents bring you to the circus and you bring your kids to the circus and no one ever tells you why it's wrong, then you're not a bad person, you just haven't been educated.
But it's amazing how many people won't even take the flyers. A lot of people are really ignorant, they don't want to know, because if they knew they'd feel differently,
Well, maybe you think you're not having an effect, but the presence being here, it allows people to know that there is something wrong here, and maybe next year they won't come, but they've already taken the time and energy to come here this year.
Yeah, and these things are really helpful, handouts.
And I say I've been vegetarian for 30 years.
So I think you get through it a few people every year, and that's all it takes.